Good evening. I'd like to welcome you to the regular meeting of the Stillwater Planning Commission, March 20th, 2012. We have a fairly short agenda this evening. We have 2 items under land use, items for discussion and possible action. Let me hesitate and say one thing real quick here. We do have some folks in the audience. If any of you do have an electronic device or a cell phone, if you would silence it at this time, certainly would be appreciated. Again, first item on the agenda this evening is Brian Hester, map amendment PZ-12-1623, requesting review and approval to rezone property address as 1201, 1205, 1209, 1213, and 1217 North Ramsey Street from an RSS residential single-family small lot to an RM residential multifamily district to allow for potential construction of a multifamily project. Tom, good evening.
Good evening. Hey.
Pull the microphone up to yourself.
There we go.
That's better.
That's better, Tom. Thanks. Thanks, Cindy.
All right. As you said, I'm calling this the 1200 block of North Ramsey, although it does not quite include all the houses, and we'll talk about that here. All right. The requested zoning is for 5 lots on North Ramsey Street, shown in the hashed area. There is an additional lot on Ramsey Street just to the north. And the south lot has an existing house. The next one up has an existing house. Then there are 2 vacant lots, and then an existing house, and then the other existing house that's not part of this request. The applicant right now is seeking the zoning in order to develop the 2 vacant lots, and he'll talk to you a little bit more about what he's got in mind. But just to kind of explain where we're at, this is a dead-end street. Right now, right across the street to the west is the Will Rogers Elementary School. They have submitted a building permit and plans to demolish that existing school and build a new school just north of it, basically kind of where that P is and where I'm shining the laser on the map, and kind of on the little bit on the where the park was, and on the south end there'll be some green space and then school and then more green space. And so you know, there's a creek kind of running through here, and I'll show you an air photo here in a moment. But then also just kind of background information to the south of Eskridge Street. Most of this whole property is either owned by OSU or they have contracts to buy it or something like that. And it's planned for the 2nd phase of the athletic village. Now, we've seen some plans. They aren't probably set in stone yet, but the plans that I've seen showed a dorm right there, just south of the property in question, even though they call it Athletic Village, but there is 1 student housing proposed in there at this time. And then just to kind of show you, you can see there is some multifamily zoning across the other side of the creek, and there are some apartments right in here. But closer in, there is a house on that Ramsey Street just north of this area requesting to be rezoned. There's a house on this lot and a house on this lot. So there, in that neighborhood, there are a couple of residential lots, but there are only 3 other houses. Even though all this is zoned RS, I guess there is a house there too, but it's probably going to be acquired by OSU also. But even though all this is zoned RSS, it's all going to be OSU. And there is a neighborhood just north of the park.
Tom, can I interrupt and ask just a couple of questions without trying to interrupt you? When you say Oklahoma State's got that probably under contract, does that go all the way over to Knobloch, do you think? Or did they stop?
I don't have the... They're
just in theory.
The athletic village plans go all the way to Knobloch and even further past it to the east, but...
Like up to probably Stillwater Plaza on the south side? It'd be where Barry, Patton...
all the way to Duck. It's a large area.
Got it. So it would even include, Stillwater Plaza. I just wondered how far they went over. So what I wanted was, you know, Mike?
Presently, any land that's vacant up there, Oklahoma State owns that land. If it's got an apartment complex or development's already there, we don't own it. And right now, our plans are not to obtain that at
Gotcha.
the present time.
But it'd be safe to go to Knobloch.
Yes.
Gotcha.
So it's safe to go to Knobloch, and we do own some property a little bit east of
Yeah,
Knobloch.
Perfect then, thank you, that helps. And then, one clarification. On our printout, Tom, this map is absolutely correct, and I was gonna ask you about it, but I just want to clarify everybody's map that's up here on the shoe. It looked like two structures it looked like 1217 wasn't in the rezoning in the hatch mark.
Okay.
The way that it came about, but 1217 is actually on its own separate lot. It's your last address on your hatch mark.
It is, Madam Chair, when they work with that mapping, GIS moves those addresses out. So I mean, if you even look, 1213 and 1205, they've moved the addresses out here to the side.
And I was the
Yeah.
dummy, Cindy, until I realized and actually read what was on my front page to map it up. But anyway, I just was confused over there, but 1217 is in the hatch mark. And then the last question I had while we were talking about it, is the school land go all the way to the back of Bennett? Is that street where we see residential in the yellow north of the school property, would that actually be Bennett's backyard on the south side?
I don't know where Bennett Street is, and Patty said no, so.
What would be the next street to the north? Do you know?
The school, of course, this is the land where the school and the city swapped land. So the school, oh, Jesus.
I don't know where the school boundary is on the
Okay, the school
north.
right now is on the south portion of this property, and they're going to build the new school, whoops. Sorry. They're building the new school kind of in the middle. So they have swapped this land. This used to belong to the city
Right.
in the park. And so this land has been swapped with the school. So now the city owns this part, school owns the middle, city owns the rest of the park to the north. Does that answer your question?
But the city and the school have joint use agreements in all three areas.
I have
ask
heard
it.
that yes, there is, the school's playground is going to be out here. Their heat system, what is that called? The
Geothermal is also
geothermal
in that
heat
area.
system is
We're also involved in this
located
particular
out
project.
into
Gotcha,
the
Mike.
park area. So yeah, there is a share there, but in ownership, it is still the city right now.
Zoning wise, it's all public anyway.
It's all public.
Yeah.
Does that answer any questions?
Yeah,
on that?
I wanted to clarify that from driving on out there and not really knowing exactly how high it came up, and then it
Right.
looks like there's a creek going through there, and I was just trying to determine where everything might be in the
Right.
location. So, thank you very much for the clarification. And Tom, again, sorry to interrupt you. I thought that might help us get down the road, though.
Okay. And the school's just south of the creek when you were out there, just so you're...
They can crawdad fish at recess, I guess.
Okay, I think that's, oh, just to point out, as you can see, the zoning to the north and, well, except for that lot right there, the zoning to the north and west zone public because of the school and park, and around RSS, and then the OSU owns a lot of this property here, and it still shows as RSS, but when OSU starts to develop, it'll be rezoned to the university district, so pretend like it's university. And then, okay, so this is an aerial view. You can see the existing school, but the most important thing to take away from this is that creek that runs through here has a floodplain associated with it, and pretty much all of the lots are either in the 100-year, which is the darker blue, I guess we'll say, and then the 500-year is the white area. And the point is that no matter what it gets developed, single-family, multifamily, duplexes, they'll have to adhere to the floodplain regulations, which will require them to elevate a portion of the building out of the floodplain and provide what's called compensatory storage, which is basically dig out an area to make up for the area that the fill that they brought in, So that'll have to happen either way, but I just wanted to show you where the floodplain was in relation to all this. And this air photo, once again, was taken before there is a new house right here, which you might have noticed on your maps also didn't show the outline for it. It's too new for the system, so just on there. Okay, so in reviewing this, staff found that the request for the RM multifamily district is not consistent with the future land use of public/semi-public and single-family residential as designated in the comprehensive plan and the neighborhood plan. And just to explain, the comprehensive plan appears to have shown like the school was going to acquire more of this property, or the parks were going to expand into this area, and obviously that didn't happen. And then the neighborhood plan didn't take into things have changed. This neighborhood plan was done, and that OSU has bought all the neighborhoods around there, and the neighborhood plan showed that whole area as being appropriate for single family, maintaining the single family neighborhood, but things have changed since then. The developments have been proposed by Stillwater Public Schools and OSU that enhance and possibly change the character of the neighborhood. The property is within the FEMA flood hazard area, and any development or redevelopment of the properties must meet the floodplain regulations. The RM multifamily district is not generally considered to be a compatible zoning district for the properties due to the proximity to single-family zoning and uses. The RM multifamily zoning district requires a minimum lot size of 7,500 square feet, but the existing lots are approximately 7,400 square feet. So when it comes to development, they'll have to combine lots or acquire more land, or something will have to happen with that when it comes time to actually develop it. The ability to serve the vacant properties with sanitary sewer service is undetermined at this time. There's some details with that, but just wanted to let you know about that. And so, with all that being said, do you have any more questions for me?
Any questions for Tom?
As I drove by there a couple different times, it appears fairly level, and I probably should know the answer to this question, but the homes that are there to the north appear very new, and they were built at a time that did not require the FEMA floodplain raise, or is this a...
No, the two new ones, well, I can't speak for the northern one that's not a part of the zoning, because I just don't know about it. It's pretty new, so I'd imagine it did, but I can't say that for sure. But the newest one... Okay. Yeah. Mike was just saying that both the two up north here have for sure met the floodplain requirements. I was going to say that this newer one, they had a heck of a time trying to meet all that because of the amount of room that it takes to provide that compensatory storage, so, and getting their sewer service. But the older ones down to the south, I have no idea if they meet or don't meet any of that.
Any other questions? Thanks, Tom.
Sure.
At this time, I'd like to open up the public hearing section and ask anyone in the audience like to speak in favor of this map amendment. Yes, please. I was waiting for somebody out there to come talk to us. I mean, you're welcome down here if you don't want to talk, but normally you show up too. If you'd please state your name and address for the record, and maybe move that microphone will come up to you. There you go.
My name is Brian Hester,
Good evening.
and I live at 7223 South 285th East Place in Broken Arrow, Oklahoma. And I own a house currently in Stillwater at 1205 Ramsey in the third square, the middle square, or actually the second square from the bottom. And my two daughters that are a junior and a senior are both living there and going to school. My son lived there and went to school here. My wife and I are both graduates of Oklahoma State, and we just had an opportunity to buy those two lots that are open to the north of us. And honestly, we were looking for something that could, we could build and have a place to come down because we're down here all the time for football and baseball and whatever else is going on. We were going to keep an apartment for ourselves upstairs, and we were going to rent out the bottom part of it, and then maybe on the second lot put another 2-story duplex and do the same thing. And then in the house that we own right now, that's asbestos siding and built in, I think, 1941. You get more than 5 people in the house and the floor sags. But thinking about tearing that one down at some point and building something new there as well. I don't think we were originally in the floodplain until all those houses were cleared, because when I first bought that house about 8 years ago, we weren't in a FEMA situation. So I think that floodplain has actually changed at some point through the years. So I'd like to tell you we had some big grandiose plans, but honestly, we're just tired of our money and IRAs and 401ks losing money every year, and we thought, well, we love Stillwater and we plan on some point retiring here, and we were looking for a source of income. And I've also talked to the gentleman that's on the farthest south lot, and he says whenever we're ready he would sell me his house as well, because it's fairly dilapidated as well. I think his son went through 6 or 7 years of school in that house as well. But
The one on the south, did you say?
the one on the corner.
Gotcha.
I found out a lot, by the way. I've never done any rezoning or done any of this stuff, so I've learned a lot, by the way. Talking to these people, doing the agents' letters, acting on their behalf, and the zoning change, it was really kind of fun. So, no big secrets here. I just, we were hoping to maybe at some point build some nice things there, and we're going to use a builder here in town that builds the SIPs, Blue Stem Builders. He builds these really cool, super green buildings that are all, pre-manufactured and just gorgeous. He's built some down across from the hospital.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, not much else to say except that's what we're trying to do, and trying to do everything the right way and do it as nice as possible. So,
Any questions? Nope, you're doing a fine job on your request.
okay.
Thank you very much. Anyone else in the audience like to speak in favor? Seeing none, we'll close that portion. Anyone in the audience like to speak in opposition? Yes, please. You guys are so polite this evening in asking.
Well, I actually come to speak on behalf of lots 1221, 1220, 708, and all of the lots that the Stillwater Public School own. I have a petition of protest signed by Dr. Kane and the lady, Mrs. Akers, that owns 708.
And I need to stop you right there. If you just state your name and address.
Okay.
Without interrupting you, you're doing great.
Janita Cormel, and I live at 1221 North Ramsey Street.
Okay, very good then. You said you had a petition?
I do, and I haven't filed it with the city clerk because I just collected the last signature today.
We cannot take it. It has to be submitted to the city clerk.
Right, I understand that the timeline...
I didn't know if they could hand it up here with it not being official, just
No.
asking.
I think I understand the timeline to be the Friday before the city council meeting.
Would that be the
Is it
correct
due?
timeline, Cindy?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, that'd be
Okay,
correct.
I will have it in tomorrow, so
Okay.
it'll be well before that. There are different reasons that all of us want to protest this. Mrs. Akers and I, we own our homes and then an additional lot each, and we don't want to open it up to multifamily when he, I'm actually even more scared now that I've heard he's going to purchase another lot, because from what I understand, if he chose to clear the asbestos house, he could build like a 12-unit apartment building on those 3 lots, and we really don't want that a door down from us. We already
What
have
address are you?
1221.
Okay, thanks, because
So there's
you
one
kind of
house
took
in
a, yeah,
between.
gotcha.
There's one house in between that it's a 4-bedroom, 4-bath house, and it's got 4 boys living in it, and I know we have the right to complain. We haven't, because they've been so nice. In fact, more than nice, surprisingly nice. So I know we can't expect our luck to hold out, though, if there's the potential for a much larger apartment building to be built. And I'm hearing him say he wants to build a duplex, but I also know that each lot by itself is not big enough to build a duplex on each lot. So, you know, and then there's also a separate duplex zoning that I'm aware of, the RT zoning, I believe.
That'd be correct.
And so we're concerned that because he's going for the multifamily zoning, that's really not, may or may not be the intentions. The school is concerned because, and this map is really small, would you like to see it? It's just the new school map. They're concerned because the buses are going to exit on Ramsey. And the
Tom, do
parents-
you hang on one second. Do you happen to have a new layover of the school up there on the public?
We could go to the Stillwater Public School website and you could see this bigger, but it's not a layover.
Okay.
I can see it fine.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was just worried about the folks at TV World.
Oh, that's right.
Oh, are we on TV?
They should have. You have to speak up. I know we've got 2 folks watching, because I'm going to hear
I
about it
didn't
in the
realize we were
morning.
on TV. Okay.
Especially if y'all don't speak up in these microphones.
Okay. Well, the problem with, you know, there are obvious concerns of traffic when it's open to have a large apartment building, and I don't know what that 4th lot being acquired on the end, how many units he would be able to build at that time. But my problem is if we open it up to multifamily zoning, then we have no say whether it's a duplex or not. Concerned for the value of my own lot, the safety of my children, just the quality of life that we have on our little street, which opens up into the back of a park, which is kind of like paradise on that little corner. And then the school is very concerned about the traffic with the buses having to use Ramsey to exit as the parents enter twice a day. And I don't know if any of you have ever driven by Will Rogers as it currently is during those times. Right now it's not good. It will be better when the school's built because they'll have a roundabout, like there'll be traffic, you know, the parents will go in on Ramsey and then they'll exit on Washington, and then the buses will do the opposite. So it'll be much better, but not, I fear, and so does Dr. Kane, if a large apartment building could be built there. And with the compensatory storage and everything, I'm kind of concerned how that would be able to happen anyway. I'm sure there's always a way. We built our house in a floodplain. We have a very large slope in our backyard.
Mm-hmm.
But it could be done. So I'm not sure if I should ask now or if there's someone that would explain to me the difference between the duplex and why the duplex zoning wouldn't be more appropriate in this case.
Somebody
Is that
can stop me if I'm wrong, but
another question?
what we have in front of us this evening is a request from who's actually brought it forward for an RM zoning. And yes, there is a different, less of a density zoning, if you will, or a different type of zoning, but that's not what's before us this evening. So it's not, I mean, we might be able to give our thoughts up here on the zoning that he's requested, but this is a simple zoning request for what he's wanting to do on the land that he's purchased or considering purchasing.
Okay.
So with that in mind, it's really, I don't think, appropriate to address a smaller or less, something that he's not asking for.
Okay. My last concern I'd like to bring up is the sewer. The house that was built right next to us had a lot of trouble with the sewer because the clay pipes in front are crumbled, and they had to actually cross our lot to get to the sewer, and I don't want that to happen again.
Did they put
Especially
your
not
grass
for
back?
a large unit. Huh?
Did they put your grass back?
6 months later.
Oh,
But they did. Lots of phone calls.
that's pretty fast. I'm just kidding you. Yeah, thanks for putting up with that.
Okay, I guess that's all I have.
Any questions?
I have one quick question. Do you know, you're talking about the other representatives on the houses that are not included. Do you know if any of those, there's only one other house,
On
correct?
708, she owns 2 lots but has 1 house.
Is that an owner occupied or
Yes.
is it, okay.
And then the school board is well, you know that.
Any other questions or comments? Thank you very much for your comments.
Thanks.
Anyone else in the audience like to speak in opposition? Seeing none, we'll close the public hearing and ask Tom to come back up with his alternatives.
Okay. We can accept the staff findings and recommend that the City Council approve the proposed RM multifamily zoning. You can find that additional information and/or discussion is needed prior to making a recommendation, so either continue the consideration to a certain date or table a consideration until the information is available. We can find that the map amendment is not an appropriate use for the property based upon the impacts to the surrounding vicinity and recommend that the City Council deny the map amendment. Or we can find that the map amendment for RM multifamily zoning is not appropriate for the property and recommend that the City Council approve a map amendment for the RT two-family zoning district. You have any questions for me while I'm still up here?
Any questions for Tom? Jump right in, Joe. I'm sorry, I was over here thinking.
New member, possibly a silly question. Can that be changed from 5 lots to 4 lots to meet the 7,500 spec? How does that work?
The applicant would need to file for what's called a minor subdivision and maybe do some lot combinations, or it depends on how they want to do that.
It
can be done to make the lots bigger. Mm-hmm.
That's all I was curious.
And so my question is, they could combine all all lots into one lot,
Lots, yeah.
and then there'd be RM zoning and do a
larger complex.
a larger complex. I was trying to think of a good adjective there.
Sure.
Under suggestion number 4, the RT two-family zoning, would that, the applicant keeps saying he wants to have a duplex in there. Can that allow to be a duplex in there?
The RT district would allow for that use. The problem would still remain the lot size. The RT district still requires a 7,500 square foot lot, so they'd still have to combine lots or add to lots or something like that to get to that point to where they could actually develop it.
But you can build a duplex in RM, right?
Duplexes are allowed in RM, but you can only have one on an individual lot.
Get back to the RM. Any more questions for Tom?
No more questions from me.
Thank you, Tom. Discussions or comments?
My initial reaction is that RM zoning is not appropriate. With the neighborhood and the school, this would allow the possibility of a future development, which I don't think is good for this particular area. I am for either denying the application or changing it to RT, which would allow the applicant, with additional work that needs to be done in the future, to have duplexes there. But I don't see RM zoning being appropriate for this location.
Dennis, can we do that? I mean, the request is for RM. Can we recommend, I mean, how would that work if
It depends on how you propose it to the city council. In the end, you're making a recommendation to them, and that's all you're doing is make a recommendation. And if that's the recommendation that you want to send forward, then you can do that. There may be other notices that need to be sent out before council can take it up in that case.
I just didn't know, you know, with the request being RM, what our options were.
That's basically what 4 is.
I just assume you do it because 4 is up there.
Yeah.
If only 3 was up there, then I'd be making a motion to deny it. But since 4 is up there, so the applicant doesn't have to go through all the other processes, I see it being a possibility, and that's the only reason I'm doing that.
Yes, if that's what you want to send forward, then that's your recommendation to the council.
I see a couple of things, and Mike, I certainly understand where you're coming from. I feel like we're sitting here a little blindfolded this evening, in the sense that Oklahoma State owns every south boundary to the south, and doesn't matter what they put there, it can be anything. It doesn't matter whether they've got a dorm drawn in at 10 stories or a parking garage or a tennis court. But we have no plan. We haven't had a plan in place coming north since that land was scraped, and now we've got a school being designed and developed, And I'm sitting here blindly, and for the first time I hear the buses are fixing to come down Ramsey. I'm blindfolded. I don't know what's right or wrong. I can't make a decision on this. I don't know that RM is inappropriate. It certainly would not be for a 10-story athletic dorm built. We don't have a comprehensive plan for the vision of that neighborhood, the vision of the school. This has been on my desk since last Friday, and I've heard from nobody. So I'm a little bit frustrated sitting up in this chair trying to take responsibility for saying what can and can't be developed there. I think we've had two eloquent approaches this evening from the public, one trying to develop and one trying to give their thoughts and knows more about that community over there and that block. I don't know that RT makes me any happier than RM. It's a zoning request. So a zoning request goes with the land, and I take that very, I'm going to treat it very responsibly here. I don't mean to tie anybody up, and I don't know if that's what the rest of these folks want to do up here. We all have our own mind. But I'm not, at this point, I don't really, if you force me into it, I will, but I'd rather not take a vote tonight up or down on an RM or an RT. I don't feel like I have enough. So whatever motion is, I'm not going to feel comfortable, and I certainly, with the growth and being out there and being placed over there, there's flood, there's public land, but I've been in this town since 1970, and I know when that school was built over there, and if we're building a new school and we traded parkland, and the city of Stillwater is responsible for some, and we're coming in people's backyard, I think we ought to have a totality, especially as the Planning Commission, with more information. And I don't hold anybody responsible for the lack of that. I'm just saying that the way it's come to fruition up here on this desk, I'm personally frustrated with the information I've gotten. So it would be my thoughts to maybe table. Again, I can live on a straight up or down vote. You kind of know how I'm going to go, because I don't feel like I should be responsible for the information I'm given to put something down like that as a recommendation.
Becky, what would you like to see? What would help your comfort level?
I think probably the school layout, if the school system is concerned with buses coming down Ramsey, maybe a lesser zoning district. I fully understand why the applicant, Dusty, has come in the form of a zoning request as far as a PUD. You know, the neighborhood over there has become what it is, and I think OSU and the public school system should be responsible to be good stewards of that land. And with that in mind, with hearing a request coming for the first time up here on this podium, coming from the public school, I think I need more input from them and how they expect to develop it.
Commissioner, I don't have any problem with that. I don't have any problem delaying this to a date certain. I am familiar with both the school property and their plans. I'm familiar with Oklahoma State University and their plans. And to have them at another meeting, I don't believe is any problem. And then you can see what both plans are. The city plan is it's under construction at the present time, so I think that's pretty well in concrete. The Oklahoma State University plan is somewhat flexible in nature, but we can address that and show what we're doing and when we plan to do it and what parts are flexible, and give you more information. So that's what you need.
I think that'd be greatly appreciated, because we're making a decision here on the future of Stillwater private land in a zoning request. So to understand publicly what's going on around them, I think only makes sense.
My only question to that is what would our applicant have to do? I mean, if we postpone it from now, obviously it's going to get postponed.
I think that's a
commission.
good question, Trey.
What does he have to do in order to get this brought back up if we don't make a decision on it now?
I think Tom can answer that, maybe.
Part of it depends on what you guys decide. If you want to table it to a certain date. From what I heard, a lot of the information you were seeking isn't stuff that the applicant will be putting together. It'll be staff and OSU and whatnot. So the only question about the applicant is whether or not they're going to continue with the RM zoning. If you do recommend for them to keep doing that, or come back with RT zoning. If they come back with RT zoning, I think we'll have to start over again because for a variety of reasons. And
If we recommended it going to RT zoning from here, would he have to start over?
if you recommend him coming back to the planning board with RT
No,
zoning,
if we
you
just,
recommend him
if we
going
could
forward,
to the council.
If you recommend going forward to the council, I don't think so, because that's what I was told. So,
God, we got a lot of head shaking for
Is
the
there-
TV world.
Is there any way we could bring the applicant back up and just ask if?
Sure.
I mean,
Why don't I
do
do
you,
that?
do you want us to vote?
Let's have the
Hold-
applicant come up and then we
Hey,
can.
Mike, hold on.
I'm sorry,
One
I'm out of
second.
line.
Hold on, 1 second. Thank you, Patty. Let the applicant come back up, and then let the opposition come back up for a question. Okay, then thank you. I'm gonna call, hi Patty, what are you doing there?
Well,
I'm calling call Mr. Hester.
I just wanted to give my input on this.
Well, Patty showed up, everybody. What can you shed light on, Patty?
Well, I just wanted to remind everybody that if you do deny the RM zoning, that puts a 1-year moratorium on that property, and they cannot request a rezoning again for 1 year.
Thank you, Patty. Point well taken.
And if you want to table it to a date certain, then it'll just go on to the date, the agenda that you table it to. Or if you just want to table it to subject to call, then once you get the staff gets the information to your satisfaction, then you can call to put it back on the agenda. Or you can vote to move it forward. Whatever, those are your choices.
Now, Patty, is it true, though, that if we deny the request,
You would recommend
we would
denial.
recommend denial, but it's only if and when the council denied the request that it would actually, the year moratorium would be put on it?
Exactly, exactly.
So, okay. I just wanted to clarify that.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. I think we have a question. I think, is that it
Clear
for
up,
Patty for
clear it
right
for
now?
everybody.
That's a good point, thank you.
Thanks very much. Okay, Mr. Hester or Brian, step back up here, and I think Trey had a question
ma'am.
for you.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, just, I mean, assuming you get an up-down vote, or if you go with alternative number 4, us recommending to council to move to an RT zoning instead of an RN zoning.
RT is fine.
Okay.
RT is exactly really what I wanted, but I thought I was told because of the size of the lots and what I wanted to do, that I had to go past RT and go to RM to build what I wanted to build on these 2-story duplexes.
Okay.
But RT is beautiful.
Okay.
Because that's what I want to do. I don't want to build an apartment complex, believe me. All I want to do is build some cool little duplexes.
Okay.
Any questions? Yeah. Why is that?
Who were you told that by?
Don't point fingers.
Oh, somebody upstairs.
City staff for everybody. on
City
TV.
staffer.
Well, I mean, it sounds like we may have found some common ground here. Let's do the common sense.
Well, the RT, though, is going to keep him from building a duplex. Or do you want to talk to that, Dusty?
No, he can build a duplex.
Is his lot going to be
No,
okay?
he's gonna have to
Go to
combine 2
board?
lots. But if it's actually a 7,400-foot lot, because it's a 7,500-foot requirement.
He was going to have to do that anyway.
He was
no
going to
matter
have
what
to
he-
marry up lots
matter what.
anyway.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So,
And I guess theoretically, could he go to BOA, Dennis? And get a variance on that?
wanting you to ask.
To try.
I mean, that's another option. I don't know if that's what you necessarily want to do, but Board of Adjustment could grant a variance
Okay.
from that city code requirement.
And how does that work? Sorry. Who do I talk to about a variance?
Depending on the outcome here, if you need to do that, you can contact the city attorney's office or planning division. Somebody will explain the process to you.
And it really wouldn't be here. We're going to try to recommend something to city council, and this body just recommends.
Right.
And so they have the decision, and if they were to come down to an RT zoning at council, regardless of what this commission sends up to them, you would still have the avenue of BOA if you wanted to seek that
Beautiful.
as just for a form of variance.
Yes, thank you.
Any other questions?
No.
Thank you.
Thank you for the clarification.
Further discussion or comments?
Commissioner, do you still have questions? Do you want to postpone this to a date certain?
Well, let me say this. I don't have a problem necessarily of RM going next to Oklahoma State. I think that bus left the station. So that's not my main concern there. On an RT on that, fine by me because of the lot restriction anyway, and he can get past it. If the applicant can live with that, then I think we get him on out of here and go with the RT, and obviously the council's going to have more information than us. But I would like to send with it, regardless of our motion, that we desperately need this body some kind of plan to go north and south of the movement of the university into public areas. I think it's only good stewards of our land and how we want our city to lay out. And I think we've had this long-term coming, so I'd like to see the comprehensive plan kicked right on up.
I move that we go with number 4 and find that the map amendment for RM zoning is not appropriate for the property and recommend the city council approve a map amendment for RT 2-family zoning.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. And that zoning request is recommended unanimously to the council. Good luck and thank you very much for your input this evening, to both of you. Appreciate it. Next item on the agenda this evening under land use for discussion only. This is going to be a sketch project. It will be Epsworth Village Sketch Preliminary Planned Unit Development, PZ-12-1629, requesting review and discussion of a proposed PUD to allow construction of a senior living facility that would consist of 17 patio homes, one building for 120 apartment independent living apartments, one building for 60 beds for nursing and assisted care, one building for 40 units for assisted care on property addressed as 6523 West 19th in the RSS-PUD PUD residential single family small lot with planned unit development district. Tom? Caught you sleeping, did we?
Really, the applicants will talk about this in detail, and they'll answer all the questions. I don't do any reviews for sketch PUDs.
Right.
Great, thank you. I've got a big board in front of me. I can't see anyone. There they are. And again, no action will be taken on this evening. So thank you for your input and look
Hello,
forward to the
Madam
discussion.
Chairman. Okay, my name is Kenyon Morgan. I'm an architect from Oklahoma City, 8700 Oakmont Drive in Oklahoma City. And with me today is Luke Short, who is the CFO of Epworth Villa, and Brian Kuhn, who is the engineer for this project from Oklahoma City, and then also Milt Morris, who is part landowner of the facility that we are proposing. And I don't know. I think this is a facility that has been planned for a long time. And okay, by the way, I'm sorry that John Harned was planning to be here. He's the CEO of Epworth Villa, but his wife fell and was in the hospital this morning, so he was not able to be here. this property had previously been, there had been a PUD for this, for a previous senior facility on this site, and we've come back with the ownership of this. I believe it was called White Woods, has been taken over by Epworth Villa, and that's the largest retirement community in Oklahoma City and one of the largest in the state. It's a Methodist affiliated senior facility, and the plan is for them to develop this as a life care facility, and they have been working with the emeriti faculty of OSU, and they have been working with the Alumni Association of OSU, and have received endorsements from both of those organizations. And I think if you could put this, I don't know the best way to sort of describe what we're doing, but it's very similar to the facility that was on here before, although I think we have done, we've been much more careful with preserving the site and creating park-like features on the site, and trying to make this a very attractive site, given its location in a part of the city that has some very nice homes, and has preserved a lot of the rural feeling and the park-like feeling in that part of the city. So if you can, I think I sent some documents, and I don't know if you have those. I think the first thing would be maybe the building data that we're proposing here. And does everybody have this sheet here? Was this sent to you? So the previous PUD only covered 35 acres, and we have added 5 acres, which is the corner of Range Road and 19th Street. So we will, the first phase of our development, we are actually having a proposal for 237 units, and that's really includes 17 single-family homes, 120 independent apartments in a 4-story building, an assisted living facility of 40 units, an assisted living memory care of 20 units, and a nursing care of 40 units. And that total is 237. Now, we've also proposed a second phase, but that will really respond to the demand of whether the demand for future growth is in which of these types of living environments. But we anticipate that will be 130 additional for a 367 total. Now, the previous PUD approved 350 units in total, so this is actually 17 more, but with the 5 acres added, the density is actually a little bit less than the previous one. I think I don't know, what if you would, I could step over here for a minute.
Well, I don't think we can, because, just a second. How can we get him on the microphone and that in the photo?
Just as they are now, moving the poster board.
Just move you close to the board?
This,
Well, gee, you can't see
well,
that
Brian,
on TV.
I guess Brian could point things out.
There we go.
Okay.
Everybody at home, bear with us here. I'm going to get yelled at on this one.
I think the feature of the site is a very very attractive area that has hills and ridges and valleys and ponds that are now dry but will be dug out again and reenacted. And but if you start over on the Range Road to the right, there will be a gated entry over here on the right, and so there will be a turnaround that's not quite shown on the plan, but there's a ridge about 400 feet in, and so this road will curve up to that ridge, and then from that ridge you will be able to see. This better? Okay. All right. From that ridge you'll be able to see down into the valley with the ponds there, and then you'll be able to see up on the hill where the facility will be up on the ridge of the second bridge. Now, we are going to save a lot of the surface runoff by having underground parking in the for the independent living. As you see there, we've also gone to the fact that we've gone to the 4-story actually means the footprint's going to be a lot smaller than before. I don't know if you have if anybody recalls the previous site, but this is the previous PUD here, and as you see, our footprint is a much smaller footprint than the previous PUD, and I speak to that because I think the one variation that we have from the normal REM classification, as I understand it, is that allows only a 3-story, and we are proposing a 4-story, and that allows a building height of 50 feet, and and that's to the ridge line, and we're proposing a 70 foot to the ridge line. Now, part of the reason for that is one of the things that the people that we've talked to who want to live here want is a club room in this that will be on the top floor, and from that club room and its balcony, you'll be able to see the campus of OSU. So that's one of the reasons we've gone this height. So that top floor, the floor-to-floor heights are actually 12 feet, but that top floor will have a plate line of 16 feet, or 14 or 16 feet, to really have a nice club room up there, and a balcony with lots of glass and so forth. So I think that if you look a little bit, I guess I can move over here now that I have this microphone, but this view right here is on this balcony right here, looking back at the 2 ponds here, and then these single-family dwelling units right here. These will be like 2,200 square feet and 1,700 square feet. They'll all have entrances from the back. They'll have 2-car garages. They will all have front porches, and we have tried to make this whole grounds have lots of sidewalks, lots of walking trails, including, this is not shown on this plan, but a later rendition shows this. I think the one submitted to you actually shows that the sidewalk trail continues over here to this corner, where right across the street from your bike trail that comes to 19th and Range. This is a complete life care center, so once somebody moves here, whether they move into a dwelling as they age and maybe become more frail, they can move into the apartments. They have 3 meals a day here. They have a swimming pool, a fitness center, and then even as they age further, they can move to the assisted living, and then ultimately the nursing home here. There's also 20 units of memory care. So it's really to be it's the first really full CCRC that will happen in Stillwater. So, and this is owned and operated again by the Methodist sponsored facility in Oklahoma City, the Epworth Villa community. So I think I probably talked enough, run out of steam, and so I'd be glad to have one of these, either Luke or Brian, would you like to speak a little bit about this too, to maybe fill in some of the things I missed out on?
Mr. Morgan?
We have a question here for you.
Yeah, I do have a question. Orient me right there. Where's Range and where's 19th?
This is 19th.
Okay.
And this is Range. I'm sorry. This is 19th, and this is Range. This is north. The water tower, the city water tower, is right there.
Gotcha. That helps me. Thank you.
All right. Just
for the record, I'm Brian Kuhn with Kuhn Engineering, just for your record. One of the things, we've met with your staff, and they've been very accommodating for us, too. There's some water issues out here. We're working with them and have offered several solutions, whether it be for some of the improvements we will be doing to your system or contributing to that fix. So we're working with Mr. Millis on that, and Brandon Neal. So like I said, we've had 3 meetings with them. We've also come up with a solution for the sanitary sewer, and we're also working with your staff. So other than that, Kenyon, I think, presented it very well, and if there's any engineering questions, I'll be glad to answer them for you.
Any questions for Brian? Maybe our mics went off.
Yeah.
Yeah, ours are off.
Yeah.
Sorry, Charlie, and I mean that sincerely.
Am I?
They're better now.
I have a question. In the future potential expansion, do you see entrance from 19th? I'm on the OSU alumni board, so I've kind of heard some of this stuff.
We've talked about potentially an emergency access over here, but that would really be about it. This is 5 acres over here that we've added. Has the house on it right now that they want to keep for a while. That we've heard, and it was our recommendation to them that we added in. There was comments that were like, when are you going to come back and try to get that done commercially? We have no desire for that at all. Let's include it now. It's previously we left it out. And I'm sorry. And so what I understand.
Thank you.
So what we want to do is include that
Right.
5 now, so that you know from the start, here's what we plan, and it's going to be more of this. But I think this will be our main entrance. And again, this could be an emergency access someday. And that'll be up to your fire marshal, really. But we really don't plan on any entrances on 19th.
Are there any plans to improve 19th as part of this project?
Not at this time. We've talked with your staff again on that also. It's a 2-lane kind of asphalt road right now, if you would. Your staff has talked about if we did have our entrance over here, that we would have to improve it to a 4-lane with curb and gutter and sidewalks. There's a lot of terrain. Well, it has a lot to do with it. Yes, I'll be honest with you, no doubt. But there's a lot of drainage issues. It would that would be a major project to do the fill that would be needed, because this drops off to the north. Oh, it's tremendous. Yeah. And this is really a rural area, and I don't know that we or you would want a 4-lane curbed street out there. I don't know. But yeah, there's no doubt.
Well, Brian, you opened the door there. You said you'd been meeting with city staff on water.
Yes.
Because
Yes,
of your elevation, do you feel like that you've accomplished it? I mean,
we will have...
Are we getting there?
Oh, yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. And we've hired another engineering firm that just does water studies. We'll have our own storage facility on here, too. Everybody thinks that just because you're near a water tower, you have pressure. The problem is we're not downhill enough from that.
Though some of us have learned you don't.
Yeah, right. Well, and that's the way you've learned. We will have some kind of a storage system on site, with also a pressure system on site to take care of fire needs.
That's what I was going to ask you with your multiple story out there.
Yes. Yeah, so we'll have our own pressurized system also. There's a quantity issue and a pressure issue. So we're working with your staff to work on the pump station that's 2 miles back up at 6th and Hall of Fame, I guess that is, maybe? Is that where Country Club?
Country Club.
So we're working with them, and we've said, we're going to put some money into fixing this problem. And Mr. Millis, how do you want to fix that? And we'll help you with your problem, and I think it could be a joint solution. But yes, we're dealing with the quantity and the pressure.
Okay. Any other question or comment for Brian?
Not related to that, but is there storm shelter situation?
This building here, can you see that from where you are? This building here will be our parking garage.
Okay.
So and it's fully accessible by an elevator or several elevators, I guess, probably. So yeah, and that was another consideration.
Yeah, plus there will be some toilets down there too, so yes, that can accommodate the residents from the whole facility. There will be a separate storm shelter in the assisted living memory care too, so this is completely thought of. Yes, it's very, very appropriate question, one we're addressing. Anybody else have
Anybody else have any questions
Yeah,
about
I'd
it?
just like to make a comment. I think you guys have done a fantastic job of looking at problems and fixing solutions, and I think it looks like a beautiful facility and excited for it.
Thank you. I think it will be a great. I mean, I just love the way the land. And I know Milt's owned this land for years, but you know, the way it comes up, meets a ridge, goes down, comes back up, and I think we really tried to take advantage of that. So I think we're gonna. I think it will really preserve a lot of the wonderful features of the site. I'm very excited about it.
Well, I know Stillwater's waited long time for this project to
For
come
sure.
to fruition, so
Any idea on a timeline?
We, as I understand, will start the marketing with entry fees in June or July, and but they anticipate that's going to happen very fast, so that probably means a construction start in, you can answer that.
Good evening. It's really a function of activity. We're working with Kenyon Architect to finalize the concepts and everything. Once we have that, we'll work with our construction managers to get a guaranteed maximum price. Once we have that GMP, we can set the pricing for prospects to move in, being both the entrance fees and the monthly fees. At that point, as soon as we can get 75% of the total units pre-sold, we would begin the construction, which at this point we believe to be 18 months. So as quickly as we can get to 75% sale level, it would be 18 months after that. And given the interest that we've seen thus far, we feel pretty confident that the sales will come along pretty quickly.
Thank you.
very good then. Again, it looks like a wonderful project, and I hope the project, I'm sure it will turn out just as pretty as your picture. So.
We're actually doing even more professional renderings that will, I think, really jump and pop at you.
Well, y'all improve that by the time you get back here off the sked so the TV audience can see you, okay?
Okay.
Okay, good deal. Thank you. We look forward to seeing you again.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, I got to get to my other paper. Okay, last item on the agenda. I just have one quick announcement. This evening, the flowers are provided. We'll just get a zoom in on that, hopefully. There we go. Provided by Consumers IGA, and we thank Mr. Fowler for sending those over, and hopefully if he hasn't been able to understand anything else we've said here today, he's at least can understand. Thank you, Charlie. We appreciate it. And last announcement this evening is next Planning Commission is regularly scheduled for April 3rd, 2012, right here at 5:30, and we look forward to seeing you again. With that in mind, Chair would entertain the thought of adjournment.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion and second. And we do stand adjourned. Thank you.